Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Welcome back to Live from the Heartland for the week of August 1st. I'm Michael James, and our first guest is no stranger to this show. It's an honor to have him on regularly talking about how he sees things and what's going on. The one and only Don Rose. Good day to you, Don Rose.
How are you today? I'm feeling pretty good myself.
You're looking good. You got all those books behind you. I don't know. Did you read them all?
Those, I read quite a few of them that you see behind me there. That's where I keep, among other things, my cookbooks.
Aha. We should talk cooking sometime.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you're good at it. Well, I tell you what, one of the things that's in the news that you might be able to help me and our listeners understand, comprehend a little bit better, is all this stuff about Jeffrey Epstein. Trump seems pretty out of sorts about it, trying to deflect it. Why don't you give us a little backstory on it and fill us in on what's going on, Don?
Well, as you know, I think everybody knows by now, Jeffrey Epstein was a predator who had a thing about young girls. That is, teenagers, anyone from 14 to 17 or 18, and in a regimented way, had with the help of his girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell, would recruit young girls to give him massages and then carry on further sexual activities, in which Ghislaine Maxwell not only recruited and groomed them and sort of pimped them to him, but she also participated in what are fundamentally rapes. Sex with an underage girl by an adult is statutory rape, and also can involve, penetrative rape as we, as we think of it. Jeffrey and Trump were buddies for a long time, from the late 90s into 15 years or so, up to the time they had a break, and the break is now the subject of where Trump is going back and forth. I think most people know this, and also know that Epstein was sentenced to jail, or was in jail, being held, waiting for further trials. There are said to be more than 100 young girls who were his victims. Of course, they're all adults now. Many of them bear, many of them, probably most, some emotional scars from what they went through. One talkative young woman named Virginia Giuffre, or Giuffre, however they pronounce it. I pronounce it the way the musician Jimmy Giuffre did.
Right.
She recently committed suicide. Just according to a psychologist who has been in touch with these girls, many of them have been on the verge of that. Meanwhile, Ghislaine Maxwell, after the incarceration of Epstein, went on trial. The last was arrested and charged during the last year of Trump's first term, and was tried and convicted during Biden's term. She is serving. She served 3 or 4 years of a 20-year term. That's the background. Now, what's going on now is the fact that there's 100,000 pages of information that has been gathered about Epstein, who, if I didn't say it, committed suicide or was alleged to have committed suicide while in jail. Some people think it's an open question as to whether he was gotten to in another way. I'm agnostic on that issue. In any case, the so-called Epstein files have been held out by the MAGA people, Trump's people, for years as waiting for them to be exposed, because in their view, it's going to have criminal information about somebody like Bill Clinton or other elites who they think are being covered for. This is get to be a long story, but when the second Trump administration came in, they started making all sorts of promises through Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, about releasing the Epstein files. And then suddenly, on the day they were supposed to be released, they said, well, there's really nothing here. Nothing to worry about. There's no client list. There was allegedly, and I think fluently, a so-called client list where he neatly assembled the names of all the important people that he pimped these girls to. But that's a whole other story. Anyway, the bottom line is, when they refused to release the files with whatever they came and said there's no client list, came the first big break. Now, this is what's most important to our society at this point, is that we have the first identifiable break between strong MAGA people inside and outside the administration who are breaking with Trump, claiming in effect that he is perpetuating the cover-up of important people. Well, most people observe this, wonder why he is doesn't want them released, and it's pretty clear. He's been told already, and it's public, that his name is in there multiple times. Now, it would be logical for his name to be in there if they're in there in an innocent way. That is to say, they say just talk about meeting with him, hanging with him, exchanging things with him. We know that they've been friends for 15 years, so it'd be quite logical. The real issue is that there is either some evidence in there that Trump himself was involved with underage girls. More likely, it shows that during that time when they were buddies, that he had guilty knowledge of what Epstein was doing. Now, that could really undo him with a lot of friends, because, as you know, one of the things that inflames the right to a great deal, which we, justifiably, is pedophilia. They're always accusing Hillary Clinton and other people like that of being pedophiles. So pedophilia is the one sin that we all share in common. Disdain in common, and Trump is going through all sorts of contortions, trying to explain away how he really doesn't even think he's in there. He denies being told that his name is in there, and by way of appearing to be transparent, he agreed to let Ghislaine Maxwell be interviewed to see what she knows. Now, the interviewing is another stinky thing. It's done by a man who was Trump's personal lawyer, but now is the second in command in the Attorney General's office. Now, this is a no-no. You would, if you had an interview with an inmate that might be providing evidence, you would send a prosecutor in to do that. You would not involve somebody at the top level. And so in the Ghislaine Maxwell obviously wants to be exonerated, or at least pardoned, or have her sentence commuted, or whatever. She's quite miserable. And we don't know what she talked about in a 2-day interview session, with Trump's guy. There is theoretically a tape recording of what was said, but we haven't yet been treated to any of this. So again, Trump is turning verbal somersaults, trying to dissociate himself from this, making all kinds of other accusations. But this story has been now hanging over his head for the better part of 3.5 weeks now, which has never happened before. So this is real. As we say in the trade, this story has legs. It's causing a great deal of discomfort to Trump, and we don't yet know where it's going to lead. I suspect it'll be a while before we see the Epstein files and see what's actually in there and how it's going to affect Trump. So this whole story, seamy and horrible as it is, and especially for the 100 or more victims of this abuse, who have to relive it with every retelling of the story, which I just went through. It still pleases me, because I think it's going to hang on. And as long as he keeps denying and not releasing, he loses more people for covering up. And if they finally come up with it, who knows? It may have some incriminating stuff. So the bottom line is the Epstein story, which is going to continue because Maxwell keeps saying she'll testify to Congress if she gets immunity, which at this point is not going to happen. This is the, what should I say, the first major disruption in the Trump era, the second coming of Trump. And I look forward to it harming him all the way up to the midterm elections.
Well, we hope so. Let me just ask you one more thing about that, Don.
Yeah.
The head of the FBI was one of the MAGA people the new head of the FBI, one of the Make America Great Again people who was all in about these things being released and hoping that they would catch some prominent Democrats, et cetera. And all of a sudden, he's switched now. He doesn't want to talk about it, or he says there's nothing there. Anything on that?
Well, that's just everybody follows Trump's line. Not everybody, fortunately. There are some people who are still broken with him, but then a whole bunch of them, including the vice president, who wanted the files released, now agrees there's nothing there. So he retains a lot of his top help, but he's lost others, and we will see how the effect of these breaks as the weeks go by.
One of the things that we've talked about on this show and is pretty much on a lot of people's minds is what's been going on in Gaza. From early on when Hamas attacked Israel, to the battles going back and forth, to the decimation of infrastructure, the killing of people, over 60,000 people dead in Gaza. A number of times the U.S. said they were helping out, working with Israel, but starvation is rampant now. How about sharing a little bit about what's going on in Gaza, your views, and what we might expect?
Well, it's bothered me and many, many others for quite some time now. Those of us who were horrified by the original October 7th assaults, almost 2 years now, and as the attacks on Gaza, the retaliatory attacks went on, it became clear that Israel was, what should one say, overdoing a response to a horrifying event where hostages were taken, where 120, I think it was, people in Israel, mostly Jewish Israelis, died. And the war itself was a war of attrition. And it became, in many views, a war of genocide. Now, the argument about genocide is defended on some sides and is disagreed with on others. Trying to compare genocide to what happened in the Holocaust, but as the killing goes on, I think a lot of people began to understand genocide. And a great genocide scholar who is Jewish himself, as I am, finally said this is a war of genocide. And then an equally smart guy says, Brett Stevens, who often appears on TV and quoted in the papers, says, no, it's not genocide because there is no intent to wipe out these people. Well, I lean to the fact that if you don't want to call it genocide, the war is certainly genocidal. And the most horrifying part is what we are exposed to now, the slow death, particularly of children, through starvation. Gaza has never had sufficient food and nutrition sent to them in the course of this war, and they are on the verge now of what would be a genuine famine. Now, I don't know how we deal with this with Israel, who keeps denying. They're denying even that there is starvation when the starvation is right before our eyes. And I can't think of anything more horrible than dying slowly of starvation. And the first victims are obviously going to be little kids. So we are looking for a way to feed at least some of the hungry, and we have not found any significant way to do so. And this starvation will continue as long as Israel does not truly open up a passage and permit the significant amounts of food to get in there. And there's no reason why they should not do this. We can't say that the Hamas people are suffering from the Hamas members who they're after. They're stealing enough food to keep themselves alive. So the people who are dying are innocent victims, but they're called collateral damage, which is a horrible term when you look at what the actuality is.
Don, we got about 2 minutes left, and what are your thoughts on the internal dynamics of the Israeli government? I know that some of the right-wing members of the coalition, Netanyahu's people, they pulled out, I believe. Is there anything that we might expect with elections and opposition to this genocidal policies from the Israeli populace?
No, because my feeling is that Netanyahu needs these people for his coalition. He's prolonged this war so he can stay out of jail. And so long as he does this, he's going to wind up accommodating in some way to that far right wing. He's not going to accommodate to whatever progressive side exists in Israel in the government itself. So I'm not optimistic about that break. I think he's going to lean toward the far right, which is what's kept him around.
Well, Don Rose, I want to thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure to see you, even if it's visually on a little mechanism here. I'm using a phone today. And we'll look forward to having you back next month. And we'll get to talk some politics. There's so many things I wanted to talk about, the possibility of who might get elected in 2026, if Democrats could do more. But I've got to save it till next time.
We can do that next time. We'll see you then.
Brother. Adios. Thanks.